Hey everyone, hope everybody is doing well this afternoon. Just want to take the time to thank each of you for joining this webinar this afternoon. I'm really excited to share a little bit of information about what it is I'm doing and a little bit more information on Intelligent Leadership Executive Coaching, ILEC. So I know I've talked to each of you individually over the course of the last few weeks. So it's been awesome to catch up with each one of you and hear all the successes and all the great things that you've been doing throughout your professional career. So again, just wanted to thank you for joining me today throughout this presentation here. Excited to share some more information with you. Just a couple of housekeeping items. If you have any questions that arise throughout this process, feel free to use the little chat option that we have available. So just share some questions on there if they come up throughout this presentation. And at the very end, I'd be more than happy to answer any of those questions for you. But again, thank you so much for joining me. Really look forward to sharing some more information here with you today throughout this presentation. So Intelligent Leadership Executive Coaching, ILEC. What are we? John Mattone is the co-founder of ILEC. He is recognized as the world's #1 authority, #1 business coach in the world, and the #1 authority on intelligent leadership. One of his most recognizable names that he's had the honor and privilege of coaching throughout his journey is Steve Jobs. And we'll touch on Steve Jobs a little bit more as well, but he's had the distinct privilege to work with Steve Jobs. John's also written a couple best-selling books on leadership, intelligent leadership. What You Need to Know to Unlock Your Full Potential was written in 2013, and The Intelligent Leader, Unlocking the 7 Secrets to Leading Others and Leaving Your Legacy, which was written in 2019. So Intelligent Leadership Executive Coaching, again, a little bit more background information on us here. It is recognized, as I mentioned, as the world's #1 executive coaching brand globally. It's been recognized each of the last 3 years, 2019, 2020, and most recently this year in 2021. It just had that recognition as well. So each of the last 3 years, #1 executive coaching brand globally. John is responsible for being ranked as the world's #1 executive coaching business blog since 2017. Some of our top clients that we've worked with, I've highlighted a couple key ones that everybody's definitely heard of: Amazon, Apple, FedEx, Heineken, PepsiCo. Those are just a couple to name. And then some top CEO clients as well: Steve Jobs, Roger Enrico, and a variety of other people that are listed right here that have been top CEOs that we've had the privilege to work with and coach. 10 books have been written, 4 of them being bestsellers, and several trademarks as well have been recognized throughout the ILEC process. Just a little bit of background information on me. I know that all of you know me pretty extensively, and you know my background, so I won't take too much time here to touch on this. But most recently, Tina, my wife, and I have started a franchise, Apex Leadership Co. We're franchise owners here in Metro Detroit. And really what Apex is all about is we provide fundraising opportunities for local elementary schools through a 2-week leadership program that culminates in a fun run. And then we also provide fundraising opportunities for local middle school and high school sports programs, travel sports teams, church groups, you name it. We can really fundraise for anything, but our primary focus with this franchise is to really enhance schools throughout fundraising opportunities. As you know, the last 7 years or so, I've spent time working in the beverage industry, Molson Coors distributors, both here in Metro Detroit, Easttown, and Powers Distributing. I've had the privilege to be an area manager for Powers, and I've been a sales representative for both Easttown and Powers as well. And then most of us have met in our journey while working with the Pittsburgh Pirates as a sales assistant. Fortunate enough to have the opportunity to work with some amazing leaders and some great people within the Pittsburgh Pirates organization down in their Florida operations department in Bradenton. And then I've also been a part-time area scout for the Toronto Blue Jays as well for 1 season. And I did that in the Central Florida region as well, as you all know. In my time working on my master's degree back in 2000 and from 2010 to 2012, was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to work with student athletes as I pursued my master's degree there. And I absolutely loved working with student athletes as I helped provide leadership opportunities for them, help them plan their schedule for the week, and really just be focused on everything that they had going on in their busy lives. So was an absolute honor to work with student athletes at Central Michigan. And then my first job out of college was with the Buffalo Bisons as a sales intern with them for a little bit, and another strong leadership organization there as well. So again, most of the opportunities and privileges that I've had throughout my journey, my early professional career here, have been stemmed around leadership, which brings me to ILEC and the passion that I have for leading individuals and companies to reach their maximum potential. So what we see right here is a little bit of what we have to offer with ILEC. So we've got a variety of different resources at our fingertips. So we can do anything from keynote addresses, workshops, online webinars. I know online's been huge throughout COVID and everything the past year and a half. So online webinars are available. Those opportunities do exist. We've got a variety of different programs that we can work with, all the way from individual coaching to group coaching, retreat programs, workshops, development seminars, and a variety of different proprietary assessments that we have and that we assess throughout the coaching journey as well. And then the last item we see here is that we have media and books that we've developed and been a part of and researched as well. A little bit more information on John Mattone, our co-founder here. We'll tie this back in with Steve Jobs that I've mentioned on earlier. But the way John essentially was fortunate enough to stumble upon Steve Jobs was Steve ended up picking up one of his books in a bookstore. He read it. He was fascinated by the research that was in John Mattone's book that he shared there. He loved the assessments, the proprietary assessments that John had in those books. He found fantastic. So what Steve did is he reached out to his team at his office, had one of his assistants reach out to John Mattone to see if he was available to coach him. And of course, John obliged and had several coaching sessions with Mr. Steve Jobs. And the fascinating part is the time that John coached Steve Jobs was during that last year of his life. So Steve had known that his diagnosis with cancer and that he didn't have much time on this earth left. But what he was fascinated with is he wanted to know what his lasting legacy was going to be on this earth. And I think that's what deep down in our hearts, what we all want to know when our time is coming towards the end. We really want to understand the legacy and the impact that we've left on others throughout our life. So through their work together, John was able to really dive deep into Steve Jobs and what he was as an individual and what his lasting legacy was going to be on this earth, which is really fascinating and fantastic to see. We've also been in 53 countries to date up to this point. So intelligent leadership executive coaching really represents the best of what we've learned and what we know and how we know how to grow leaders, build cultures, and drive results. ILEC has a 100% success rate for those who've been coached 6 months or longer. So we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. But anybody that embarks on a 6-month journey with us is going to see a 100% success rate. That's guaranteed. So right here, what we see a little bit of is every company essentially has a vision, mission, and a purpose statement, right? We all know that. Together, when we work together during our coaching journey, we'll really focus on what that leader's core purpose statement is, right? So we'll focus on a core purpose statement that we'll co-create together. We'll be joined at the hip. We'll work side by side throughout this process. We'll develop that core purpose statement and make sure that it ties in with the vision, mission, and purpose statement of the organization. Same thing when we go down to strategy. Every company has a business strategy, obviously. together we'll work with each individual leader on their individual leadership development plan. So essentially, we're going to make sure that this is a parallel universe. So we want to make sure that each leader is growing individually, but where they're growing is going to help shape the company and help the company become more successful as well. So everything that we see right here, from what we're going to become, the strategy we're going to use, the structure, system, and processes, all the way down to our return on investment and how we course correct, is going to be a process that we work on together throughout our coaching journey. And it really essentially is a parallel universe on how we're going to get the most from each leader, how we're going to make them become better leaders and really shift and transform the company that they work for. So intelligent leadership coaching, essentially we have 4 powerful phases and 7 game-changing pillars. So we start with the first phase being the awareness phase. This is where together we're going to build some rapport. We're going to really focus hard on a vision and the passion that each of us have as leaders throughout that awareness phase. From awareness, we're going to shift into assessment. And assessment is going to be all the proprietary tools that we have to help really figure out the strengths and the opportunities that each individual leader has throughout a variety of different assessments that we have. We'll turn that into action. So again, the action is going to be an individualized development plan that we'll together work on throughout this process, which is going to show action, and it culminates in achievement. So as we go through these phases, the culmination is achievement. And essentially with achievement, we're going to course correct anything that we see here. We're going to evaluate the growth of you as a leader, which is going to translate to the return on investment, which is obviously critically important. So when there's the return on investment, we're going to see an increase in operating expenses as well. So very, very powerful phases and some game-changing pillars that we have available to us through ILEC. So through those 4 powerful phases, we're able to identify 2 powerful igniters, the inner core and the outer core. So essentially, the inner core is going to be what we feel on the inside, the way we think, the way we operate, the behaviors that are going on throughout our inner beliefs. These are things that cannot be seen by our peers or superiors. These are things that are inside of each and every single one of us. From the inner core, we're going to see a shift and a transformation into the outer core. The outer core is going to be the observable traits that others see from our inner core beliefs. And again, these are culminating from the 4 powerful game-changing pillars that we just discussed. This will translate to your 4 transformative outcomes. The 4 A's is what we refer to them as: altruism, affiliation, achievement, and abundance. These 4 A's are critical in the success of each individual leader. So through the inner core, we move into the outer core. We ignite these 2 powerful items here throughout those 2 cores, and we work to get to the top and best potential that we can be throughout these 4 A's, the 4 transformative outcomes, which again, every strong leader must possess. The wheel of intelligent leadership. So again, what we're looking at really here is the inner core. So we'll start with the inner core. You'll see self-concept, your elements of character. That's going to spew out to beliefs, values, and your references. From there, you go to thoughts, emotions, and all your behavioral tendencies. And again, this is all the inner core right here. So these are thoughts, beliefs, experiences that we've had. These are all on the inside of us, things that others cannot observe or see. But through these beliefs, through these thoughts, through the inner core here, we go out to the outer core. The outer core, you can see, has 9 different items: drive for results, critical thinking, decision-making, strategic thinking, emotional leadership, communication skills, talent leadership, team leadership, change leadership, all items that others observe. And they're observed through, again, the inner core, what our thoughts, beliefs are, going to the outer core. So the way we feel, the way we think is how we operate. Right here, what we see is some research that we've done on our end. As I touched on earlier, any individual or organization that goes through the ILEC journey, the coaching journey for at least 6 months or longer is going to see a 100% success rate. And again, this is based on the research that we've done through polling some of the clients that we've worked with. Our sweet spot we recommend is anywhere from 9 to 12 months to see the best growth. But again, if we're working together for at least 6 months, we're going to see a 100% success rate. You're going to see positive growth from your leadership skills throughout those 6 month journey. So at this point, we'll wrap it up. I want to thank everybody for taking time out of their day again to join me. I know everybody has a really busy schedule, so thank you so much for taking the time to join me on this webinar. If you have any questions at this point, feel free to pass them through the chat here. What I'm going to do moving forward, just so everybody knows, as a thank you for being on this webinar and joining me and taking time out of your schedule, I'm going to send an email. It'll be no later than this Friday morning. You'll receive a thank you email from me. In that email, you'll see my calendar link schedule. I will share my calendar with you in case anybody would love to join a complimentary coaching session. I'm also going to send a link to one of our assessments, one of our leadership assessments, so we can really see some strengths and weaknesses that each of you possess. And from there, we'll be able to work together to really dive into that assessment that you decide to take. So again, all complimentary, no strings attached, just a thank you for taking time out of your schedule to join me. And I do have one question that popped up from Jeff here. So Jeff has a question. Do you have the ability to work with athletes to work on their mental aspects of the game? So this pertains to baseball, obviously. So great question, Jeff. Thanks for asking it. I'm not a trained sports psychologist, so we're not going to work specifically on mental training. However, throughout the ILEC process, we have worked with athletes in the past, and we can definitely work on a variety of different leadership traits and skills that will translate to them performing better out on the playing field. So great question. Thanks for asking. If there's any more questions, feel free to ask now. All right, don't see any more questions coming through. So again, thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Glad that some of you were able to attend and join. Can't thank you enough. Again, look for a follow-up email from me no later than Friday morning, and truly appreciate you joining this call with me.